The third free DLC for Art Online Alicization Lycoris has arrived, Ancient Apostles Chapter 3, The Bruised King, featuring a new story revolving around Kirito, Selka and Alice, and this will be my short impressions on the available content. Hey everyone, it's me Gamerturk, your best source of Art Online information. Like, subscribe, share and all that YouTube stuff for even more in-depth SAO coverage. But yeah, I don't think I'll keep this review very long. This is the third free DLC chapter, we know exactly what to expect on average. The surprising bit is about this DLC, it's how well it fits into that specific expectation. Honestly, I feel like I was never this whelmed in my life before. The Bruised King is yet another hour-long DLC that perfectly fits in line with the quote-unquote long character event that gives its main focus character a chance to shine, grow past their earlier struggles to come to a conclusion in their specific character arcs. We had Sinon facing her old traumas in the first DLC, we had Tise doing it in the second one. It is time for Selka to stand up to shoulder responsibility and grow past who she was before. Just like those two, the difficulty of the Selka DLC update is also very casual friendly, so if you have Skyrend on you, you will have a very easy time here. Those who don't have raid equipment will have a normal time, let's say, provided they at least level up a bit. If you never played the game at all since finishing the main campaign, you will start to have a very hard time with the Selka DLC, which you probably would have realized in the previous Tise DLC with things getting significantly harder for you. As long as you are in the level ballpark, so around level 70, you should potentially have no issues, but if you somehow do, the level cap is now level 90 anyway, so you may resort to over leveling a bit to compensate for your lack of good equipment. But yeah, going into the story, and obviously spoilers ahead, not that there's much to spoil here, there's a disease spreading from the Rulit village up north and Kirito and Alice respond to solve the issue. The writers were right on point at instantly sidelining Alice by getting her inflicted with the blue rose poison, because they too probably realized it was getting a bit too redundant to have Alice constantly reconcile with who she is to become a sister to Selka, only to forget she did that in the very next event they are featured together. So we continue our journey as Kirito with Selka instead to solve the issue at its core, eventually defeating Illfang the Kobold Lord to put an end to how the disease was spreading in the first place. But as I said, I feel perfectly whelmed after playing through the update, nothing over, nothing under. There was absolutely nothing in the story that got me particularly invested in it, but it wasn't as boring as I felt the need to shut my brain down. Now, mind you, I was getting close to that point when Alice was in her I'm totally not worried about Selka mood, because after so many character events doing the exact same thing, as well as the main campaign that already covered and solved the topic multiple times, I was getting tired of Alice's amnesia and repeating the same drama as if it was new. Back in DLC 2, I had complained about Kirito being so involved in a story that was obviously about Yuju and Tise. In this one, I'm glad Alice was completely thrown away early on in a story about her and Selka, and the reason is exactly as I stated before. The story was once again about Alice's struggles to accept Selka as family, whereas Selka had already made it clear hundreds of times that she simply doesn't care about what happened in the past and is more than happy to consider Synthesis 30 as her sister. If they had gone with any other story beat here between Alice and Selka, you know, like them trying to bond after coming to terms with it, that'd be fine. Then I would want to have Alice and Selka on screen together. But as that was not the case and the story was heading down another repeat, I was more than happy to have Alice be taken out of the picture since it greatly benefited the narrative too. We got to see a side of Selka that was never shown before, you know, standing up for herself, and it was also fun watching her be cheeky against the Mushroom Man, threatening him in fun ways to get him to talk. It was honestly time well spent to develop her as a character, which is what a character event is after all, so that was definitely a good choice. The problem with the story is, well, not exactly a problem per se, that's not how I would put it, but it's that there simply was not a single moment that got me to engage with the story. There wasn't a single moment that was particularly funny, not a single moment particularly grave, not a single moment particularly tense, not a single moment that made me feel any kind of way possible. It was a story that kept to the absolute basics to keep you following, but did nothing to give you some sort of additional entertainment value. On the other side of things, the story also had no negative moments, so no scenes that outstayed their welcome, no scenes particularly cringy, no scenes that required you to shut your brain down completely, and nothing that aimed to waste your time to make the story seem bigger to you than it actually was. It was a very honest and straightforward story. Like, Kirito did recognize Illfang from Aincrad and reacted to it accordingly. The game here easily could have stretched 5 to 10 more minutes of dialogue just by having Kirito talk to Selka about Illfang, but they didn't, because why would Kirito talk to Selka about Aincrad just because he recognized a single boss? If Asuna was there from a story perspective, sure, I could see them having a lengthy chat to strategize against Illfang, but with Selka there was absolutely no need. So Kirito just shared his initial shock with Selka, told her he recognizes Illfang from another world, and just carries on with the story. That's perfect, thank you. All in all, I cannot exactly praise the story as something amazing, but on the other hand, I got absolutely nothing to criticize it either, you know, and thus, I am whelmed. Nothing more, nothing less. However, I got some things to mention outside of the contents of the story itself, so we're going over to the general update matters here. First off, the attack speed buffs all around made the game feel a whole lot more responsive in regards to its controls. I am not a huge fan in general of just boosting the game speed because I'm scared things may eventually go down the hollow realization way, where it's just a massive skill spam and nothing more, but I do feel this little speed bump puts the combat to a much more fair spot for the player, feeling much more responsive than it did before. The free DLC raid bosses had their level caps raised again, now going up to level 150 and thus offering much higher quality drops when defeated as well. Sadly, the sword from Illfang that is limited to Alice is also a strength agility roll, so chances are you're still better off with a Skyrand or a Blade of the Light Wolf for that sweet accuracy you need for everything endgame related. Speaking of the Blue Crest sword from this DLC, I did not like how Alice is like, yeah, sure, I'll take the sword, effectively casting away the Osmanthus blade without a second thought, without any fanfare, but then again, it's not even clear when these free DLCs exactly take place yet. They keep hinting at the fact that they all happened before a great disaster, so they are probably before Myosotis, but that throws us into another rabbit hole where Kirito has technically left Underworld at the end of the main campaign to talk with Kikoka and has not yet returned as far as we know, which means these DLCs take place before the ending of the main game, which begs the question why none of these characters were using their divine armors and weapons, etc, in that final climactic battle. That's why I don't like retroactive story DLCs that try to make big additions. They usually don't work. Last but not least, the memory arena has been added into the game, which is as underwhelming as I expected it to be. Basically, you duel one of your past enemies, Kayode at level 100, Zixi at level 200, Genie at 300, Hashirian at 400, and Quinella at level 500. And depending on your power level, you'll just start hitting your head at a wall in one of these stages because there is literally no power curve to talk about here. I defeat Kayode in about 3 minutes playing casually. I have less than 1% hit rate against the next level, that is Zixi, even with accuracy buffs, so I am certainly not bothering with any of this. That 1% hardcore player base wanted hard content, they got what they want, congratulations, hope you have fun. I always wondered why people keep asking for harder content in these kinds of games when all these games provide that with artificial difficulty like this one to keep you on a psychological hamster wheel, but who am I to judge? If they have more fun trying to land 10% of their hits at Quinella EX than playing the original Quinella, who is exactly the same, then I wish them all the fun. That shallow artificial difficulty is not something I am going to bother with personally. And also, if you haven't been following the news, the coins you earn from the arena are not currently spendable, as the arena shop will be arriving with the Shilika DLC, so you gotta wait until then. Some people were also confused that spears were not in the game with this update for whatever reason. I guess they missed a bit where spears were actually scheduled for the post-Shilika DLC update along with Stray and Phileas editions. So, no spears yet, that should not be a surprise. And also, you can now raise equipment up to +20 if you want to follow that power curve. But But yeah, that's pretty much been my impressions on Art Online Alicization Lycoris' third free DLC, Ancient Apostles Chapter 3, The Bruised King. We got one more free DLC left before Myosotis arrives, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more in-depth Art Online coverage and news. Consider becoming a channel member to get access to a special badge and exclusive emotes to use. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook for faster news access. Art Online the first day merch available on my Teespring page, and a huge thanks to all my patrons and channel members as usual. Until next time, keep your head